witchlings and princelings, and welcome to your weekly coven summoning. My name is Ulsa.
And my name is Stacy.
And we're
Caffeine and Conjuring, a fantasy bookish podcast where we will discuss some of our favorite fantasy reads.
If you've been keeping up with our episodes, we're currently reading Sarah J. Maas's Throne of Glass in the publication order. We're currently discussing Book 2, which is Crown of Midnight, so please read up to and including Chapter 29 before listening to the episode if you don't want any spoilers. And speaking of spoilers, we try and keep our social medias as spoiler-free as possible, so please keep that in mind if you're interacting in our comment sections. So last episode we left off, Kale was given his Asterian stallion from Dorian as a birthday present, and Celaena's kinda feeling a little bit uncomfortable, and she returns to her rooms, and she wants to visit Elena's tomb alone because she realizes that the hollow eye in the wall looks like a perfect fit for her amulet. So that brings us to chapter 20. So, Celaena visits Morton the tomb and asks him about the amulet, if it truly has powers. He says it does. She enters the tomb and tries to use the amulet in the hollow eye. It only slightly fits, and she sees nothing other than a blank wall. At this point, she's frustrated, and Mort is refusing to help her because she still isn't asking the right questions. Have you ever wanted to punch a doorknob so badly in your life?
I can't say I have. That part really intrigued me, though, because it seems like there's a lot of times that right is being brought up. Because when Elena gave her that little tip, I guess, back in Throne of Glass, she said to look to the right. And now there seems to be like multiple things lately that has been bringing in right. Like there was another riddle that also has something to do with right. And you're not asking the right questions. Like I'm digging. I know I'm digging, but that's where my brain was going at this point.
So when Celaena gets back to her room, she has her annual reoccurring dream about a white stag across a ravine. She wakes up and then she leaves the castle before dawn. And Kale, going to get her from morning training, goes to her room, and she is nowhere to be found. Nehemia's there, however, and she tells him, "You're not going to see her today. It's the 10th anniversary of her parents' death."
Mm-hmm.
And Kale is kind of like, why does Nehemia know all these secrets? What secrets does Nehemia have? I need to get to Celaena. I don't want her to be alone. Like, I can't imagine how tragic that must have been to see her parents die in what was probably a very excruciatingly painful, traumatizing way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And that's exactly where chapter 21 kicks in. When he's like remembering what Cain was taunting Celaena with at the tournament. So he's thinking about what Cain had said about Celaena's parents being murdered. He's also wondering about what Nehemia could be hiding to need her being watched. Because the king has set Kale up to get more guards to be watching Nehemia because apparently there was a threat on her life. So we do know that Kale knows this. He's not telling Celaena this, but his gears are turned. He's like, what is going on with Nehemia that makes her so special right now? So since Nehemia says that Celaena won't be back until nightfall, he goes on his morning run alone. And then we get a little bit of a flashback to where Celaena attacked the guards and the overseers at the Novir salt mines. She went on, like, it goes into a bit more detail. She's remembering this. She went on an absolute rampage and she killed 20 men. She just left a trail of dead guards in her wake, including the 4 guards that raped the female slave. I thought that was... I like how she's in this blind rage, but, like, she's killing the right people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then she just remembers about how she was captured just before she managed to escape. But when Celaena returns after midnight, Kale is waiting for her in her room. He follows her to her room where she discovers that he left a chocolate cake for her. He's so thoughtful. He knew that, like, this was going to be a bad, bad day. He's just like, you know what? Cake will help.
Chocolate cake is the way to a woman's heart.
Yeah. So she walks up to him and they have this embrace. And I feel like in this scene, there was so much that was unsaid. Like, just nothing could be. There was no words for what the both of them were feeling. And she just looks at him and she's torn between guilt and gratitude. But then she just walks up to the cake and just begins eating it. Same girl.
Nothing like some buttercream frosting to solve all your problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then we get to chapter 22 and we get Dorian, and he's in the library. He's researching his family's history. He's hoping to find some trace of magic. He is still bewildered by the fact that he has some kind of magical ability.
Mm-hmm.
He gets why the Fae left. Adarlan's army was huge, and people were blaming anyone they could for the famine and poverty. He finds a super old book with King Gavin and Queen Celaena's family tree, and he finds out that Celaena was half Fae. Her dad basically gave Adarlan to Gavin as a wedding gift, and he finds the whole story of the Galathinius family, who were super powerful magic users. Unlike his dad, they never abused their power, and he starts thinking about Aelin, the lost heir, and remembers her as a wild child. I love this too, so we get that Dorian met Aelin before.
Mm-hmm. I had this whole part highlighted. I was like, this is important.
Oh, I can't wait to meet her. Anyways. So he starts then thinking about Chaol and Celaena and how he needs to move on. The library then goes absolutely batshit crazy. Books fly off the shelves, they whack them, they're just going everywhere. And it's like something inside him is trying to get out. He freaks out, he puts the books back, and runs off to find the witch from the carnival. Because Baba Yellowlegs is going to have all the answers.
Whether or not she wants to give it to him. We will find out.
So, flipping back to Celaena, she's kind of stressing about the birthday dinner she has planned for Chaol. Being alone with him after last night is a lot. And she puts on a killer dress and takes him to the old apothecary. Ugh. This whole scene was so sweet. She put so much work into it. And he was so appreciative. And, like, it was just so romantic.
It was.
So, they climb to the roof where she's created this magical greenhouse with flowers, plants, lights, and Chaol is just stunned. She's recreated the garden from Rhaena's song. No one has ever done anything like this for him. Ever. Later, when they're on the balcony, and Celaena's thinking about how Chaol's family is absolutely awful to him, even though he's the most loyal person ever. She then finally confesses to Chaol that she hasn't been killing the king's enemies like she was supposed to be.
I was so nervous for her.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how Chaol was going to react to that.
And his reaction was pretty on brand for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't like too crazy, but it was just very Chaol.
Yeah. Yep, he was pretty floored, I think.
Yeah.
Chapter 23 is when he reacts, and he is angry, but he's more so terrified for her safety. He keeps reminding her that she swore an oath to the king, and that these guys that she's like faking their deaths, they're considered traitors. He even tells her that if the king finds out, he'll be the one forced to execute her. But Celaena says, I have a plan. Chill out. So she's going to use the info that she gets from Archer to bargain her way out and finally be free. Chaol declares that he's going with her. I have this part highlighted because it was just... He says, we'll find that place then. What? Her brows narrowed. I'll go with you. And though he hadn't asked, they both knew those words held a question. He tried not to think of what she'd said last night, of the shame she'd felt holding him when he was a son of Adarlan and she was a daughter of Terrasen. And then, like, there's a little bit more, but then she says, "You love your country." She said, "I can't let you give all that up." He caught the glimmer of pain and hope in her eyes, and before he knew what he was doing, he closed the distance between them, one hand on her waist and the other on her shoulder. "I would be the greatest fool in the world to let you go alone."
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, and here we have their kiss. And it gets pretty intense pretty quick. Because then they, like, rush back to the castle and straight to her bedroom.
Yeah.
It's just very, very quick. He asks if she's sure about this, like the gentleman would. And she says she's never been more sure of anything in her life. And then
Closed door.
Closed door. Damn it. But later, they're cuddling and talking, and Celaena asks Chaol how much trouble he'll be in for this. He doesn't know, but it can't be good. So they agree to keep their relationship a secret for now, and to avoid executions. Because I don't think the king would take too kindly. No. Celaena assures him that Dorian's not an issue anymore, but they can't tell him about any of this yet.
So speaking of Dorian, chapter 24 starts with Dorian heading back to the carnival to find Baba Yellowlegs. He chickened out yesterday, but after another night of tossing and turning, he needs some answers. He pays her 4 gold coins and asks if magic is really gone for good. This part cracked me up. She's like, "You wipe your ass with those coins?" Or with that gold?
Oh, she's so saucy.
She's so snarky and saucy. I absolutely love it. So yeah, she tells him that his kind of magic is gone, but some old school powers are still around. So he asks if someone could, like, hold all the magic, but she says nope, magic's gone, even for the Fae. She's heard rumors of magic on other continents, which makes her wonder what those people did to make the gods take away their magic 10 years ago. She tells him if he wants answers, he needs to figure out why magic disappeared in the first place.
I don't think I realized until this part that magic has only been gone for 10 years. Like, I know for sure it's obviously been mentioned, but it wasn't until I've read this chapter that I really realized it. I think that's just me with my bad memory and my poor reading skills.
Yeah, because that's when, like, they went and started butchering anyone who had any magic or had dealings with magical people, and that's when Celaena's parents were killed.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it took me this long to make that connection, but it did.
So, as Dorian's leaving Baba Yellowlegs' hut, or tent, or...
Tent?
Yeah.
Carriage?
Carriage. He runs into Roland. He lies and said he was just getting his fortune read for fun, and Roland says he saw him leave the castle and thought he might want some company. Sure.
I don't trust him at all.
Nope. Dorian is a little bit suspicious, but Roland's been backing him up lately, so he's just gonna let this one go. At the docks, Celaena watches the guy she's been tracking sail away. Archer shows up and apologizes for warning them. He warned all of the people that he was giving Celaena names for that, this is what's going down, you guys need to leave.
Which, I get, but that's shit.
And, like, we know Archer is terrified of Celaena. Why are you gonna cross her? And, like, she is furious at him and demands more information by tomorrow night. So his time frame, gone. Like, she's done with it. She wants the information. She wants it now. As she walks away, she's thinking about the rebels, hoping they'll find a way to stop the king so she doesn't have to. So later on, Celaena tells Nehemia about her and Chaol, and Nehemia's, this is such, like, I say high school, but, like, college dorm room giddiness. Like,
it is.
You finally hooked up with someone, and you're both just giddy and kicking your feet.
And she was like, I could have told you that.
Yeah.
It was great or whatever. Like, that was such a cute scene between her and Nehemia.
Yeah, and Celaena's feeling a spark of genuine happiness for the first time in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But Nehemia's mood changes. The king's ordered her to stop the rebels in Eelway or he'll kill them all. Nehemia begs Celaena to promise she'll help free Eelway and her people, but Celaena refuses, saying it's impossible because the king is just simply too powerful. Nehemia reminds her that Elena chose her for a reason, to fight the evil that's taking over. Nehemia wants to fight now, but Celaena says they have no chance. She refuses to get Nehemia killed, and Nehemia, in return, accuses her of only caring about herself. But Celaena just wants to live a life in peace. Nehemia argues that there'll never be any peace with this king in power, and Celaena storms off after being called a coward.
I felt this whole scene, it didn't feel like it fit. Like,
No.
I'm finding it very hard to reconcile this Celaena with the Celaena that we've known before this. Like, it does not seem like it's something that Celaena would do to just outright be like, no. Like, I refuse to help because it's fruitless. Like, I can't wrap my head around that being the same Celaena. Like, I don't know. I can't see that being, like, her character would do that. Especially with how close her and Nehemia are now.
Yeah, it was a sad scene to read, especially with upcoming chapters, but we'll get to that.
Yep.
So bring us into chapter 25, Stacey.
This chapter confused the ever-loving shit out of me. Like, I even had to send you the screenshot of it. I'm just like, what? What is... Who? So it was a super short chapter. And, I mean, I could probably read out this chapter in the amount of time that it would take me to just describe what this chapter was about. But within a tomb, and there's no names being used, it's just within a tomb, a queen tells a princess that one of the two has to break soon. The princess knows the prince isn't ready, so it has to be the girl. And she understands the queen's request, and she's prepared to do whatever's necessary. As she's leaving the tomb, the princess hesitates at the doorway. She turns back to the queen, and she voices her concern. The girl won't understand why this is happening, and if she falls apart, there might be nothing to help her put herself back together. And she even has tears in her eyes. The queen assures her that the girl will find her way back, just like she always has. But even with the queen's confidence, the princess can't help but worry. And that's it. So I'm assuming that it's Queen Elena and Nehemia who are having this conversation. The prince is obviously Dorian, and the girl is obviously Celaena. And I think I understand this chapter now after finishing chapter 29, so we might have to come back to it. But do you remember what your first thoughts were on that chapter when you read it?
Yes, but it doesn't make sense now that I'm paying more attention, because I think the first time I read it, I thought Aelin was Elena's daughter and not a more distant ancestor, or...
Right.
Yeah, so I fucked that up when I was reading it the first time, because at first I thought it was Elena and Aelin talking. Because we don't know if Aelin's dead, is she alive, is she just beyond the veil,
Yeah.
So that's where my mind went. I didn't think Nehemia.
Okay. Yeah, see, my brain, that was just the names that I could, I don't know, coincide with what was being said. And especially after when we get to chapter 29, her, this part where it says that she's prepared to do what's necessary. I feel like that, just a big bow, that really ties it all together. But we'll see. We'll circle back a bit after we talk about chapter 29.
Yeah.
bring us back to chapter 26.
So, Cale is unfortunately out on a hunting trip with the king, Harrington, Roland, and Dorian.
So just a great time.
Oh yeah, sounds wonderful. Make sure you have your flask with you. You're gonna need it. As he listens to the Lord's joke and gossip, he can't help but wonder if that's what he would have become if he had stayed with his family in Aniel. The king rides up beside him and drops a bomb. Nehemia is going to be questioned by the council tomorrow night, and he wants Cale to post 6 guards outside his door.
Oof.
Why 6? Why do you need so many guards to question a princess? And, like, the princess has her own security. Like, what's going on? Well, we know what's going on now, but...
Yeah, that felt very excessive to me when I read it. I was like, what is going to happen? Yeah. What does he expect? But
so, with this knowledge, Cale decides to keep this little bit of information from Celaena. He figures the king won't actually hurt Nehemia, and knowing would only freak her out and make things worse. Oh, Cale.
I get it, but again, like, she's a big girl.
Yeah.
Just tell her so that there's no secrets. Nobody likes the miscommunication trope.
Definitely not.
Definitely not here. That ticked me off. Like, I feel like maybe because we're getting his point of view, like, I felt like he's just doing it because he thinks that that's what's best.
Yeah.
But I'm so mad at him.
Yeah. So later that night, he decides he needs to get out of the castle and clear his head. As he's walking through the quiet gardens, he's starting to think about his future with Celaena. Maybe even marrying her? Cale girlies, where you at?
That was... Yeah, like that part in the beginning of the next chapter. Just...
But just as he gets all dreamy-eyed, someone jumps him from behind, pressing something to his mouth and nose, and everything goes black. The only thing I've highlighted for this episode, and I'm surprised it was only one thing that, like, stood out to me to highlight, but it was a little thing from this chapter, and it's, he'd kill any man who'd hurt Celaena, and if the king ever gave him the order to dispatch her, then he'd plunge his sword into his own heart before he'd obey. His soul was bound to hers by some unbreakable chain.
I had that highlighted too.
Even as a Dorian girly, that part, like that quote right there was enough to kind of like give a little sway to the Cale side.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like we know that he has intense loyalty. Intense. Yeah. He is loyal to the crown. Like that is his whole thing. But now his loyalties are to Celaena, I feel. Like he's very much... He will go to the ends of the earth.
Yeah.
But he'll still keep little secrets.
Little white lies.
Important ones. But yeah, that where he is thinking about all of this, about how he wants to marry her, and then he's like stops himself. He's like, whoa, hold on a sec. And then like he's thinking about what his family would think of Celaena, what his father would think of Celaena, because his father liked his mother for being so timid and like not outspoken, and then he's just like, oh wow, he would not like Celaena. But then when we get into chapter 27, Celaena wakes up and finds that she's alone and that she's just out doing captain of the guard stuff. And she's now daydreaming about what a life with him might be like. So we got Cale and Celaena both dreaming of this being together and what their future could look like. And at this point, I was just like, okay, Shit's hitting the fan now. We're getting all this lovey-dovey between her and Kale. That's it. It's over now. It's just too good. So she's back in her own room and she's munching on breakfast when another list of names arrives from Archer. Nehemia's a no-show for the word mark lessons, but she's not really surprised. She just figures it's because of their fight yesterday. They left on very bad terms. So she figures a little cool down time might be good for both of them. And Celaena spends the day in Rifthold. She's tracking down the men on Archer's list. But when she gets back to the castle, Kale's not there for dinner. So by 10 o'clock, she knows there's something up right now. She races back to his room and she finds a note with her name on it. And her blood runs cold. Someone's kidnapped Kale and they want her to show up alone at the address in the note by tomorrow morning. Or they'll kill him. She has this, blinding rage. And she hasn't felt this since her Endovier killing spree. Meanwhile, we switch to Kale's point of view, and he's chained to a wall. He's getting beaten every time he tries to move. He's thirsty, his head's pounding, and he has no idea who these people are. They're all wearing robes and hoods, and some are armed. They're whispering to each other and seem to be getting more nervous as the day goes on. Kale realizes they're waiting for something. He pretends to fall asleep and overhears them arguing about letting him go, but someone says she has until dawn to show up. And it hits him like a ton of bricks. They're waiting for Celaena, and this is the rebel group she's been hunting.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, shit's about to get real.
Oh my god. As soon as that chapter was over, I was just like, I was just anxiety.
So, chapter 28, Celaena is gone full assassin mode. She's cloaked, she's hooded, she's moving like a shadow through the city. She's alone, but she's armed to the teeth. Reaching the building next to her target, a warehouse, she spots guards at the alley by the front door. Peeking through a window, she sees Kale chained to a wall, and without hesitation, she leaps from the rooftop, crashing through a second-story window.
Oh, badass.
I imagine her landing like Black Widow in Avengers, just like that. So, Kale sees a flash of moonlight on steel just before Celaena comes flying through the window, daggers flying. The guards are yelling and they rush her, but they're no match for her deadly skills with the two swords. Just as she's about to take down Kale's guard, another guy yells for him to back off. He lowers his hood, and revealing that he's just an old man with white hair. And he tries to get Celaena to listen, but Kale's guard attacks and another fight breaks out. Suddenly, Celaena hears her name and dodges an arrow just in time. It's Archer, and the arrow hits his shoulder. He's wearing the same robes as the other men. He set her up.
I knew he was
that rat bastard.
No good.
He begs her to listen, but Celaena demands they free Kale. And surprisingly enough, they do.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at her, looking at the chaos she's already caused. They're like, yeah, I'm not fucking with this bitch. Nope. Let him go.
Good idea.
So, Archer then explains that he's been working with Nehemia for months, leading this rebel group. He orders everyone to clear out, and once they're alone, he tells Celaena that he and Nehemia have been building a rebellion, hoping to raise an army in Terrasen and uncover the king's plans. Celaena remembers how busy Nehemia has been all those times she was missing from the castle. She asks where Nehemia is, and Archer tells her to ask Kale.
My stomach sank.
Yep. It's like, oh, fuck. Kale, fucking idiot, plays dumb. So Archer then explains that someone threatened Nehemia, and Kale knew about it, but never told Celaena. He also claims that they grabbed Kale to find out what he planned to ask Nehemia during interrogation. Kale says the king's the one questioning Nehemia, not him. The pieces finally click into place for Celaena, and she just asks, where is she? Archer says he sent men to the castle, but it's probably too late, because it's not an interrogation, it's a coup.
Oh, fuck. I have to get to this chapter because... So at this point, I felt like this is where something big is going to happen. And there's multiple big things that happen. But she is like, she has a one-track mind right now. She is tearing back to the castle. And at this point, she is vowing to destroy anyone who dared to touch Nehemia, even the king himself. And when she lands in the castle gardens and bursts through the doors, and she's sprinting towards Nehemia's room, she's ignoring the guards and Dorian. They're all calling out to her. And all that she has going through her head is not again. And that made me so sad for Celaena. Because at this point, she's just like, this is just reminiscent of everyone else that she's lost. Like, she's just dead set on, this can't happen again. Not again, not again, not again. She bursts through the door, and she's met with a horrifying sight. All of Nehemia's guards are dead on the floor. The room is ice cold, and Nehemia's lifeless, broken body just rests on the bed.
I have to ask you, because this was what was spoiled for you for this book.
Yes.
How do you think you would have processed going through those last 2 chapters if you didn't realize what was going to happen? Because obviously you knew that she died, but like going back, if you didn't know, like,
yeah,
she had such a horrible death. And then everything leading up to it, and the tents, and I was heartbroken when that was what was spoiled for you. I was just like,
yeah,
oh no.
yeah. I feel like I would not have expected it at all. Like,
She's just gonna get back to the castle and she's gonna be fine.
And yeah, like, I literally thought that they were going to, like, if anything, be there in the nick of time, you know, like Nehemia is being interrogated, but they're there to... I would never have thought that she was actually dead. And I'm still not convinced. I'm not convinced. This is now, like, going back to chapter 25. That strange chapter. This is what I thought, like, after I read that, where it just said, like, Nehemia... I think she just said, yeah, Nehemia was dead. That's literally how the chapter ends. Last 3 words. I was like, okay, I have to go back to chapter 25 because I think that chapter was Nehemia speaking to Queen Celaena. So when I went back and I was just like, okay, so maybe this is why Nehemia was so upset, because she knew what was coming. And she understood that, because she says that, like, the prince isn't ready. So to me, that means Dorian isn't in control of the powers that he has yet. And so they say, so it has to be the girl. So she also says that she knows what the queen has requested and she's prepared to do whatever is necessary. So I think she had to, like, somewhat, in some way, sacrifice herself. And then how she says, the girl won't understand why this is happening. And if she falls apart, there might be nothing to help her put herself back together. And then the queen assures her that the girl will find her way back, just like she always has. So I think, like, it's all somehow was set to happen. And Nehemia, I think, was aware that this is how it was going to be. Oh, I just need more information. Oh, boy. What a way to end this group of chapters, though.
Yeah.
Like,
we couldn't have planned that better if we tried. It was just like luck of the draw that that's where the chapters, like how many chapters we wanted to read per episode.
Yep. And now we're jumping into, I think, what is it? Yeah, part 2, the Queen's Arrow.
Da, da, da.
Oh. Oh my God, there's so many questions, and I'm so stressed because, like, it looks so bad for Kale because, yes, he should have told Celaena. This could have all been prevented.
Yeah.
I think it could have all been prevented if Celaena knew, and she could have
intervened.
Yeah. Because, like, now, how much guilt is going to be on Celaena now from their last conversation?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be enough to drive her to save Ilway, or at least do what she can. I think. If it doesn't totally break her. I am just... My brain is just gone. Just melted. I feel so bad. Because, like, this is going to affect all of them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Dorian and Nehemia were getting closer.
Yeah.
According to, like, the last conversations that we've witnessed.
Yeah, they were becoming good buddies.
Yeah. Oh my God. And how this is going to affect Kale and Celaena's relationship. Because she's not gonna forgive easily, I don't think. If at all.
And that brings us just over halfway done Crown of Midnight.
Yeah, I am so afraid.
So to our listeners, Stacy is going to be recorded listening to the last couple chapters on audiobook when we go on a little road trip in the new year, so we can get her live reaction to the ending.
Oh my God.
I cannot wait. I think maybe we should pull over when we get to that last chapter.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to, because otherwise I can't, I don't trust myself. Oh, that's gonna be so fun.
Yeah.
But I'm nervous. I feel like literally every part of this book just makes me nervous, because I just... Ugh.
So with knowing what you know now, do you have any inkling of what that last chapter might entail?
I don't know. I want to say that, like, maybe Nehemia comes back. Or maybe Kale sacrifices himself as, like, a last... I don't know. Or... I don't know. There's so many things that could happen.
I cannot wait.
Oh. Yeah.
You're going to lose your goddamn mind.
Oh my God. Well, I hope it's worth it, having it recorded. It's gonna be fun.
You're just gonna be in a slump for, like, the rest of the drive after that.
Oh my God.
We're gonna have to, like, start right into, like, Assassin's Blade or something. Just...
Yeah. Oh no. I never thought about that. We'll have to queue up. Or maybe we'll have to put, like, I don't know, some crazy audiobook on.
Oh, I got a few in mind.
Oh, it'll be fun. And with that, our Coven summoning comes to a close. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
And follow Caffeine and Conjuring on Instagram and TikTok to stay up to date on our journey through Throne of Glass.